so excited. We're gonna sew the Bria backpack together, but before we start making it, we need to see what it's about, right? So we do have a front zipper pocket and a front pocket with a zipper as well. So there's lots of room in this front pocket. And on the back side, you'll find another zipper pocket. Right, that's a small one, but it's like a secret pocket for your phone or like a small wallet. You have the straps on the back and the sliders for the backpack, and these back straps are gorgeous and with foam, so they're padded. Now let's have a look inside. Okay, the wireframe open up so wide so you get to see everything. We have a padded laptop pocket with foam, an extra zipper pocket of course, and then we have another slip pocket and a zipper pocket on the other side of the interior. So truly this bag has a lot of zipper pockets, but I cannot get enough of zipper pockets. Now let's fit my laptop in there so you can see how tall, how big this is, so you can fit a big laptop in there as well. And now let's try this big as ring folder, like with all the documents I have inside of them. So it's a really big thing, and guess what, it fits in there. So the Bria backpack is quite a huge backpack. It does fit a lot, and it opens up widely because of the wireframes. We have a top handle, and on the sides we have two pockets, and these pockets do fit like water bottle or any type of bottle that you like. So are you ready to do this? I hope you got everything that we need, because we do need a lot of materials for this project. So I'm gonna walk you through what we need for it and how to handle the lists. So we will start with preparing the pattern and the fabrics. So I've used the quilting cotton, very lightweight. For the exterior, I've used this waterproof outdoor fabric from Cotton Bee and a faux leather for the sides and the bottom and the back, I think. And we do need some interfacing. I've used Decophyllite, and for the interior, I've used this G700 Flieseline, my favorite. And we will need some foam. So this foam is 5 mm thick. I'm not sure if you have this style fill or kaschierter Schaumstoff, we say in Germany. I'm not sure if you heard of that. It's a bit, that's a nice foam as well. We do need some zipper tape. I've used a wider for the top handle, a wider webbing, and a thinner webbing for the bottom straps. So make sure you have the right size that you would like to have your straps in for the top handle and for the back straps. We do need a little bit of elastic for the side pockets. Now for the hardware, I've used two backpack sliders and lots of zippers, I think 7 to be correct. These are the wireframes that we use for the opening. So make sure you have the big size. They are 30 centimeters times 7 centimeters. And we need 2 zipper endings for the top zipper, for the main zipper closure. This is a cut and measure pattern, so you do have your lists on how to prepare your fabrics, your pieces, just by measuring them. I've made a list for the Decophyllite as well, so you can see how to place it on your piece of Decophyllite, as well as for the main fabric and the lining fabric. I hope that's helpful for you. I've also created these lists, like if you go through every piece step by step, you have a list on which pieces you will need for it, and which fabric pieces you will need, and which other materials you will need, like zipper and webbing. And we will now get our fabrics together for our bag. So I'm gonna walk you through the list and how I do it. So I have all my fabric pieces cut out and fused on there. There are some specialties about some Decophyllite pieces, but you see them. So check, I have my A piece, I have my B pieces. These are 2 sets. They have to be cut mirrored. I have the back cover. Check. I have the D pieces for the back zipper lining and the facing I write down the letter on the wrong side and the F pieces for the webbing attachment at the bottom. So I do need some webbing, and you can find the length of the webbing on this list too. So I will just cut out whatever I need. So I have like a pile of stuff. So when I get to do the back, I just grab my pile and work myself through all these pieces, because the Bria backpack does have a lot of different pieces, but that's why it's so much fun and advanced and something special, right? Because you've made something you can be really proud of. Okay, check. I have my webbings. I have the shorter webbings from the 1 inch or 2.5 webbing piece, and now I need two larger pieces too. The measurements are on your list, so you just go through that list step by step, point by point, and take all of the stuff that you will need for this piece of bag, for the back piece. We also need some zippers. So I will cut my zipper in the correct length that I need. And I have like a little bowl on the side where I place my zipper pulls in, because they just start flying around somewhere. So I just collect the small pieces inside a bowl. We also need some foam for the back. We need foam for the straps, and we need foam for the exterior back A piece. The measurements are on the list, and this one, when they are mirrored, but it doesn't matter which side is up or down, so it doesn't really matter. So prepare these pieces too. We also need some bias tape for the straps. See here, I show you like the measurements are right on the piece. So I also cut some foam. Therefore, I just place the A piece on top of the foam and cut it out and set it aside. And then I have, I think, everything that I need for the back piece, except for the bias tape. I didn't see the bias tape yet, but of course you need the bias tape for the straps as well. So have everything ready before we start. And I do this for all the different pieces, for the sides, for the front, and then I take a break because that has been a lot of work already. So now my pile is ready, except for the bias. Then I put it aside. So we will start with the back. So there you can see the bias, there I have it. And then I will just have my pile ready so I can go through the steps just piece by piece. And first we will make the straps for our backpack. So I fused them with Decophyllite, and I put the piece, I sandwiched the foam in between a set of like the bottom and the top strap fabric, and I just secure everything with pins. The thing you have to think about is using for Decophyllite and for the foam piece, you use the pattern pieces with the dotted lines as a guide, and you have to cut this out mirrored. So if you make this all from one fabric type, it doesn't really matter, but I decided to make the bottom of the strap touching the back piece from faux leather, and the visible shown piece that will be on the front is the floral fabric. So the foam is sandwiched. I just baste it together just like that, and then I will mark the center line. So you just take you just figure out the center, and I take some chalk to make some dots on there, and then you can align your pattern piece to draw the line, because it's not straight, it's curved. But I suggest you to work yourself through with the measuring tape first to make dots. So this is for orientation on where to draw. If you use a marker, make sure the marker is removable and won't be visible, like a magic marker that you can use with water and wash off. Here I'm using some chalk, and then I mark the line, and then you just top stitch the line. I do not suggest you to do this freestyle, like without the marking. This can end up not so pretty. So take the extra step, mark the line down the pattern, down the fabric piece, the top piece. use the pattern piece as a guide on where to draw, and then simply top stitch on top of the strap. Now we will attach the bias tape, and I will show you this at my sewing machine because I do everything at the sewing machine like that. So you just put it right sides together, the bias tape and the strap, and then I will sew with 7mm seam allowance, 3/8 inch, because I think 1 inch is a bit too much and I like this to be like not too fat on the side. I just want this like a decoration, and I don't pin it or clip it down first. I just go along my sewing machine. The curves can be a bit tricky, so make sure that you work yourself on the curvy side, step by step, stitch by stitch. Go slow, and then align the raw edges and work yourself around the whole piece, trying to keep that seam allowance 7mm, 1/4 an inch, all the way around the strap. This is what it looks like when it's attached, so trim off the extra. And then you just fold this towards the raw edge and fold over again and secure with clips. Work yourself around the whole strap and then simply top stitch. I know binding does scare quite a few of you guys, but this is like a good piece to practice on. I mean, sure, it does have to look pretty in the end because it's like for decoration or for highlighting. If you really don't like binding, if you want to avoid it, there's also the chance that you could simply sew this right sides together, the bottom and the top B piece, leave an opening, put the foam inside, and then top stitch. But the strap will be thinner, then it won't be the same size because we did not include seam allowance here because it's with binding. But I suggest you to try this because it's a really nice finish. It looks cute. It's something different, and you can highlight this like if you use like various colors, like maybe a pop of color. Just play with it and make this your own. And I promise, if it's not working 100% the first time, that's normal. You have to try and practice to get better. Okay, now do this with the second one as well and trim off any extra binding, extra bias tape on the top. And now we will take care of the strap connectors and the backpack sliders. So therefore you need the shorter pieces of webbing and thread them on the top bar of your backpack slider. Fold it over like maybe 2 centimeters, just a little bit. Yes, it does not have to be like a certain amount of inches or centimeters. Just make sure that you put this aside, like next to each other, and compare so the two pieces have the same size. Okay, just like that. Check, same size, perfect. Then stitch it together. This is what it looks like stitched together, and then you fold this over by, I don't know, maybe 2 centimeters as well. Make sure it's the same on both pieces. Yeah, I folded this over for 2 centimeters, 3/4 an inch, and then I place it on top of the bottom of the strap, and I measure it 4 centimeters from the bottom edge. And it's not straight, so it goes inwards a little bit, like you see. You just follow the top stitching, center top stitching that we did before for orientation. Put it on their centered 4 centimeters from the bottom edge, and then stitch it on there. It looks nice if you stitch on like an X box on there, but you can do this however you like. Don't go too crazy because it won't look nice from the back side then. So I've decided to make an X box. And now the straps, the B pieces, are done. We will take care of the bottom strap connectors. So you have these triangles. You put the longer one, the 55 centimeter long webbing, in the fold and let it stand over for about 1.5 centimeters or 1 centimeter, 3/8 inch, maybe like that. And do this with both pieces. And then you will sew the edge where the strap is standing over, where the strap is hanging out. This side right here with 1 centimeter, 3/8 inch seam allowance. Make some extra stitches where the webbing is just to be safe. And then you turn this right side out and decide which side should be upwards and which downwards, because this needs to be mirrored as well. So decide which side you like more. I like this one. So on the other piece, I have to take this one because it's mirrored, okay? And then you top stitch along all the edges. And now we can set this aside. This is prepared, and we will take care of our zipper pocket. So we left a gap in the deco fill light, remember? Now it's on the right side. If you turn it, if it's right side up, the zipper will be on the left side, okay? So you mark the center on your facing piece. I think this is the E piece, the back zipper facing, and you find the center right here. And then you just align those two centers and put the fabrics right sides together. Now I'm marking the center. Like here, I just did a fold, I align it, and I put it together and secure it with clips. This is wrong, yeah. Now it's right sides together. And then you turn it around and simply stitch along right next to the deco fill light, like this. And then you take some scissors and make 2 snips into each corner. And then you have to turn the piece. So you fold the E facing, the E piece, you fold it to the wrong side of the A piece. If you can, I suggest you to press it. But it won't stay like that because the back is like fused with deco fill and it's thick because of the faux leather. So I will take some clips to keep it in place, but giving it a press after you formed out all the edges and curves is helpful. Now we will make the zipper pocket. So therefore you take the 18 centimeter long zipper, 7.5 inch, and you thread 1 zipper pull on your zipper. And now it's important to make sure we want our zipper to close to the top. So when you align it to the edge of 1D piece, on the right, both are right sides up, okay? And the zipper is closing upwards. Now you fold this to the back, so the zipper is right side up and the lining piece is wrong side up, and you have this edge here. You just fold over the seam allowance, and then you align the zipper to the back, align the facing, the E piece with the zipper, and use your clips to secure it. And you see the seam allowance from the D piece, I just folded over the edge. So therefore I just top stitch right here to sew these 2 pieces together. Okay, you see? And then you place the second D piece on top. And now you can see we have some extra fabric on the left side, so we will simply cut this off, and then we will sew the two D pieces together. And you know there is a gap now because the zipper is missing here, but I will show you how to sew this. So just place the pieces under your sewing machine. So you see the A piece, the faux leather piece is up. So I just fold it to the side and sew the D pieces together with 1 centimeter 3/8" seam allowance. And this is just how you usually would do it, right? Because right now everything's the same like it usually is, but now we will get to the gap. And therefore fold the seam allowance like this, fold it, and then stitch until you're on that fold, and then simply stitch along the fold until you're on the panel, the E piece, remember? When you are right here, and then fold upwards, sewing this together. Also baste together the zipper and the D piece so nothing will slide off. Just a few stitches to secure this. And now we can trim off the extra corner here from the D piece. Snip, 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 snap. Cut it off. And your zipper is done, and we will take care of on how to attach the straps. So we will make some markings. The first line is 5 centimeters 2 inches from the top, then 6 centimeters 3/8" from the top, and a third line 8 centimeters 3 inches from the top. So we will make this for orientation on where we can stitch safely without the seams being visible later. Also mark the center. There you can see my face. You can see it's in the ruler. This is how I look when I work. I just have my headphones on and I just like my comfy clothes. Okay, the center is marked as well, and then we will make 2 more markings, 5 centimeters 2 inches from the center. So this will be the gap in between our top handles. And the top handle is the first thing that we will attach to our back piece. So I've stitched together the center. It is quite easy. Therefore, I just marked the centered 12 centimeters, which is 4 3/4 inch. And I folded it together and just sew them together within the markings. And yeah, that's quite easy if you want to do this. But this is like the 4 centimeter wide webbing, the wider webbing, and I like this for a top handle. So you'll just align them to the markings so they're 10 centimeters apart from each other, and align them to the bottom marking line, and don't stitch over the second line. You see, I kept my stitches in between these 2 lines, the bottom 2 lines, because I don't want them to be visible. And now we will attach the straps. So this is the correct way to attach the straps, but they will be aligned to the center, and they are curved, they're not straight. So use the edge, the short edge, to align it to the bottom marking line, and then repeat. Baste it on there, just go crazy however you want to make this safe and secure. But keep in mind, when you use faux leather, like if you have your stitch length not long enough, you might get holes in there and they can rip off. So then you take the back cover C and you fold the edges over the decophyllite. So the decophyllite is a lot smaller than the fabric piece, therefore you can just fold them over and align them to the top line that we made, and simply top stitch this on your piece. And like that, oh, we forgot. This one needs to be folded like this. So it will be caught in the stitches, and that's correct, okay? So it will stay in place. And then top stitch. Like this. See? This is caught in there, and it's gonna be safe like that. So that's not a mistake. This is on purpose. So this is what it looks like when the top handle and the straps are connected. And now we have to attach the F pieces with the webbing. So remember which one was the top, this one right here. And then you align it to the side edges, 2 centimeters from the bottom edge, 3/4 inch, 2 centimeters from the bottom edge. And just baste it on there within a seam allowance. So if you want to, you could already do that now, or you do this at the end. So that's totally up to you. If you want to thread this through there and then fold over the end pieces like twice and stitch them together. But I think I did this at the end. I'm just showing you. You thread the bottom strap through the second bar on your backpack slider, fold this over twice, and secure this with stitches. And now our back piece is almost done. We just need to add the foam. So therefore, you just place this on top of each other and make sure that the back zipper pocket is in there nicely, and baste together the two pieces. So now let's make the front. So I will take my second pile with all the front pieces and check if I have everything. These are the front pieces and the zippers, and we will start with the front pocket. So you will thread a zipper onto your zipper. Make sure it's the right one because we have 2 zippers here. I usually cut them a bit longer and then just trim off the edges when the zipper pulls attached. And then we will sandwich this between the tabs, main and lining. So they are right sides together and the zipper is sandwiched in between. And then you sew the edges with 1 centimeter seam allowance and then fold them wrong sides together and top stitch. So now our zipper is prepared. And then use the Deco-Fill on the front pocket top piece as a fold guide. Press it, top stitch it, and then mark the centers. As well, you can mark the center. You have to mark the center on the zipper as well. So you could also do the top stitching later and attach the zipper first. That's personal preferences. I will show you both ways because when we do the front zipper pocket, like the top pocket on the exterior, I'll do this the other way around. So now we've top stitched this already. We marked our centers and then we will make sure that the zipper is closing towards the left. That's important. And then we will align the raw edges of the front pocket and the top edge of the zipper, and we will baste this edge together. You can also use the correct seam allowance, but we can baste it too. Start and stop 1.5 centimeters or 1/2 inch from the beginning and from the end. This is not visible here because I will open up the seam later on. You will see this in the video. It's just a lot easier to attach it like that but you will see this in the video later. So please keep watching until the front pocket is done. And now we will take the K piece and align this edge that we've just sewn. Put the K piece on top and sew this again with a gap 1.5 centimeters from the start and the beginning. So you just sew the center, and I will show you here how I did it. And don't start at the beginning of the seam. Start 1.5 centimeters from the edge. Okay, do not start here. Make a marking 1.5 centimeters, 1/2 inch from the edge, and then start sewing with a 7mm seam allowance. Okay. This was a last minute change, so I'm sorry, I don't want to make excuses. Maybe I get to change this for the launch. And now again, if you get to the end you should have a marking there with 1.5 centimeters, and stop here. Stop. I didn't stop, but you should stop earlier, okay? So you do have a gap there. Now you will fold this down and press it. Now we will attach the bottom from the front pocket. We have our centers. We have to make the center markings. We put it on top, and again we leave a gap at the beginning and at the end. We just sew the middle, and then we will top stitch it with the gap as well. Like here I show you how. Like now I'm doing it right. I leave a gap, I just sew from point to point and top stitch this. You see? So our back front pocket does have like a boxed edges, curves. So you fold the bottom and side edge, right sides together. Align the raw edges on your cutting mat like that, and measure 3 centimeters, 1/8 inch from the bottom, and make a marking there. We've corrected the decofill eye piece, so it should be where the decofill eye piece is. Repeat on all 4 corners of the main fabric and all 4 corners of the lining fabric as well. I just made this a lot quicker. Raw edges together, raw edges aligned to your cutting mat. Make the marking 3 centimeters from the tip, 1/8 inch from the tip, as well as, and then sew on the line, and we will repeat this with the lining pieces as well. So I've sewn the line that we've just marked, and then I trim off the excess fabric. You can leave like a little bit, don't leave too much, okay? Just maybe 1/2 centimeter, like 1/4 inch. And now I'm repeating the same process with the lining fabrics. Okay, next up we will fold our raw edges over towards the to the inside, so you won't have any raw edges visible. And this will take a moment and it requires patience, but I really do like the finish since you don't have any raw edges from the inside. And this is also the reason why you would have to leave the gap at the beginning and at the end of attaching the zipper, because if you don't do this, you cannot fold the seams inwards. I mean, on the piece where the tab is, you do have a tiny bit of a raw edge, but that's fine because it's on the sides. On the inside, you won't really see it, only if you fold this like open. But who does that to the front pocket, right? But I did not want to have the top and the bottom edge be visible, so therefore I use the decofill light as a folding guide again and fold this over, and so both edges are lining edges and exterior edges are folded together like that, and then I secure everything with my clips and yes, work my way around the whole piece. Now let's make this quicker because this takes a moment. There you see me opening up the seam because I did not leave the gap. But So therefore you need to leave the gap and fold it inwards. Okay. Now we will make markings on where to place our front pocket. So everything's secured with clips, and we will take some chalk and use 2 centimeters from the bottom, 3/4 an inch from the bottom. We make a line, and we will mark the center as well. And our rectangle is 27 wide and 24 centimeters high. That'll be 10 1/4 an inch, 9 inches. And mark all the centers, the top and the bottom center and the side center as well. And make sure you have some removable pen or chalk, so nothing's visible in the end. And then you simply mark the centers of your front pocket as well. I use some chalk for that. And then I do not like pin it on my bag, on my front pocket. I will just take this to my sewing machine and stitch it on from marking to marking. So this might be a bit tricky, because the measurements of your front pocket and your rectangle that you drawn on there, they need to be exact and correct. So adjust if necessary. So you do have the start, the middle, and the beginning, and we do have our center. So I will start at the bottom center, aligning these 2 centers together, and I just stitch it on there, top stitch it on there, and the end point on this edge will be the dart, like where the seam is. So make sure that your dart seam is on the end of your triangle. So you start stitching, make sure it's straight, and use your drawn line here as a guide, and top stitch it together. So this is like a bit curved, so I push this downwards and hope for the best that my dart is ending where the marking is. So I do stop like maybe 1 stitch before and fold my front pocket to the side to catch my guide on the upwards going marking, and then I just keep on stitching along the line from dart to dart. So if you're having issues, if your markings are maybe too small or too big, like you cannot keep on like orienting on these markings, measure your front pocket piece from dart to dart and use these marking lines or guides, these not lines, use these measurements as your guidelines, okay? Because maybe your pocket is like half a cent, like maybe 5 millimeters wider or shorter than what is supposed to be or what the pattern is like. Take your own measurements, measure from dart to dart, and use these measurements, okay? When you get to the top, you should check if your centers do align. So I again stop maybe like 1 stitch before the dart to get my piece organized in a different direction, and then I just stitch along. Make sure this is folded nicely. And I know this might be hard, like when you do this for the first time, but the more often you do this, the better it gets. I promise you that. Maybe I should do some more like smaller pockets, like this style. I really like this style. It reminds me of the Eastpak backpack that I used to have being a teenager. I'm not sure if you remember these. I mean, I still see them around, right? We all had Eastpak backpacks and they had this front pocket. So when you're done, fold the edges and check on the inside and just give it like a push or fold. I see this is the inside. On one side it looks really nice, on the other it's a bit okay, but I'm okay with that. Okay, the front pocket is attached. We now take care of our front zipper, the top zipper on the front piece. So therefore we take our zipper and thread a zipper pull on there, and again we will prepare it by attaching the tabs right sides together and sew them with 1 centimeter seam allowance, 3/8 inch, and then fold the tabs wrong sides together and top stitch like that. Now you have to mark the centers and align it with the top edge. Again, you have to make sure your zipper is closing to the left. So we want all of our zippers closing to the same direction, okay? So therefore, it's closing to the left. You put this right sides together, aligning the centers, and just baste it on there first. And then you put the L piece, the lining piece, on top, right side down. So the lining and the main are right sides together, and then you will sew this edge with a 7 millimeter seam allowance, 1/4 inch, like that. You fold the fabric away from the zipper so they are wrong sides together and top stitch your zipper. Now you take the second L piece and place it right side down on top, so the L pieces are right sides together. Make sure it's aligned to the zipper tape edge, so you do have a bit of extra fabric at the bottom edge, but we will trim this off. So I've pasted it on the zipper tape within seam allowance, and then I trim off the extra fabric on the bottom, and then I will sew this edge with a 1 centimeter seam allowance, 3/8 inch seam allowance. The sides can stay open. We will baste them together in a moment. You will baste these pieces together. Now we will take the top and we will prepare our second top handle. So if you have the centers sewn together, please repeat this one, okay, for this one. If not, just leave it like that. I have the centered 12 centimeters sewn together. And of course, I did prepare this when I prepared the first one. So they're both the same length. Now we make a marking 6 centimeters from the top to 3/8 inch. When I say inches, I feel like my tongue is like twisting in a knot. I don't know why. I will always struggle with inches, I guess. I'm sorry. I use some masking tape so I can mark the center and 5 centimeter 2 inches from the center. So they have the same gap in between as the back piece. Okay, so I measure the strap like standing over the edge, the length of the strap, the webbing, and I want this to be exactly the same length. So I will fold this over by 2 centimeters, which is 3/4 inch, and I will align it to my markings, but then check again if it's standing over the same way as the handle on the back from the top edge. And it wasn't quite the same. So in the end, I just placed them on top of each other and compare them if they have the same length. And I really suggest you to do this too, even if you measured it. It's in the end, it's easier to just place them on top of each other and see if they have the same length, and then make like adjustments. Looks good to me. And now you can just sew this on your top piece, the front top. I've sewn the next box here as well because it needs to look pretty. It's our front. Then you can remove this and attach it to your front piece. So we will mark the center here, and you can see this is like the folded edge. And now I will top stitch this later so you can see the different ways of doing it. So I trim off the extra tabs on the side, and then I will put the top on the zipper, right sides together, aligned by the center, and sew this edge with a 7mm 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now I will use the Decophyllite as a folding guide and fold it like this, and then top stitch. So you decide what is easier and what is harder to do. And this is our top. I use some clips to have this hanging over the zipper, and the zipper should be slightly visible, so this is correct. It's not like a cover that goes all over the zipper. I wanted just to show off the zipper a tiny bit, so that was my design thing. And then I basted the sides together, and so the tabs and the pocket, the lining pieces are basted together. And then I will take the back piece and compare if they have the same height, because they should be the same height. If not, now's the time to make adjustments. Okay, ready for the next part. Let's do the sides. The sides looks complicated, but they're really easy. So I have my next pile. The one thing that I regret about making this is that I did not fuse any interfacing to the side pieces, like the faux leather pieces. I thought they were thick enough, but they're not. So I suggest you to use Decophyllite because the back will then like fold. It's not enough structure, then I prefer it the other way. But you do you, it's your bag, okay? We will now start with the side pieces. So you use the Decophyllite as a folding guide here again, and top stitch. And we will press the sides here 1 centimeter over 3/8 inch from the Q pieces, I think, from the tunnel. Now this is the top stitched side pocket. I did it with both of the pieces, and now I will top stitch the tunnel, the sides from the tunnel, and align them right sides together and baste them together just like that. And then I will take the top on top, right sides together, and sew this edge with a 1 centimeter seam allowance, 3/8 inch. And then we will fold this up and top stitch our piece on the side pocket, on the bottom piece. And we will baste the tunnel onto the top as well. And now we will take the lining piece and put this on top edges, right sides together. Sew this with 1 centimeter seam allowance, 3/8 inch. Fold the lining fabric up and top stitch on the lining. So this is what the piece looks like. And then we will align the top and the bottom edge. I know this might be tricky because of the folds, but you can do this. If you want to, you can repeat the same folding technique with the interior too, but it won't be visible. So I just skip this part. And then I basted it all together, like the side, the bottom, and the other sides. Now you take the end piece from your main fabric and mark the center. We will align our side pocket, bottom centers on top of each other. Use a clip and then find the top edge, like a line on your cutting mat, to align it to, because we want both sides to be the same height. We don't want our side pocket to be it needs to be straight. Okay, so there you have your guideline. Align it there and use the line on the other end on where the top edge of the side pocket needs to be, and then secure everything with clips. And afterwards, you just baste your side pocket on your side piece, on the sides and the bottom. Of course, you don't have the curves here on this piece, so just leave the curves. Don't top stitch over there, because we will trim off the curves from the side pockets in a moment. So now we will just baste this together, and then if you can, give it a press so your side pocket will stay like that. So I did this with both of my sides already, and now we will take the webbing. It's 7/4 inch, 18 centimeters, and I will attach it to one side, centers on the top piece from the side pocket, and then thread it through the tunnel and baste the other side as well. Just attach it with a couple of stitches like that. Make sure it's centered on the top. Side pocket top. Looks good, right? So now you can trim off the curves, and our side pieces are finished. That was easy compared to the front, right? And that was quick compared to the back, I would say. But the next part will be advanced too, but not hard, but it's a lot of work. It's gonna be the interior. So we will take the X piece and draw a rectangle on there. It's 16 centimeters times 2 centimeters. So it's 6.5 and 3/4 inches. And it's centers on one long edge of the piece. This will be for our lap pocket zipper piece. So you will mark the the LT pocket bottom piece. You will mark the centers and align the pieces on the top edge, right sides together, centered, and then just stitch the line that you've just marked on the wrong side of the X piece. Just like we did before, we will make 2 cuts into the corner. Don't hurt the seam, but go as close into the corner as possible. And then you will fold your X piece to the back and make sure you form out all the curves and edges and give it a press. So next we will prepare the zipper. So you will take 20 centimeters, 8-inch long zipper, and thread a zipper pull on there. And now we have to keep attention that the zipper will be closing towards the left again, because we want all of our not to the right, right side up, zipper closing towards the right, because if you turn it around, the zipper will be closing to the left, you see? And this is the piece that you will sew underneath. You place it like that, aligning the panel and the side edges from the, I think it's the W piece, the laptop pocket zipper pocket lining piece, and then top stitch your zipper. It was just like we did with the back zipper as well. It's the same procedure. And then you will place the other piece on top, aligning it on the edge of the zipper tape, and you will trim off the extra fabric later or now. Okay, we will trim off the strip on the bottom, and we will sew together the sides and the bottom edge with 1 centimeter seam allowance, 3/8 inch, and then baste the top together as well. See right there. And then you will take the A piece, which will be our laptop pocket back, and sew this edge with 1 centimeter seam allowance. Fold it up and top stitch. And then take your foam piece for the laptop pocket and sandwich it in between your fabrics. So you will align the bottom edges from the fabric pieces, and this can be a bit hard to do because the foam is thick, but I want it to be like nice and tight inside of there. I don't want this to be swimming around, so this needs to be tight. And then you just baste the sides and the bottom to keep everything in place, and you also do the top stitching, the top edge. And now you will take another A piece and place your laptop pocket on top, both being right side up, and baste the sides and the bottom edge. Make sure the top edge from the laptop pocket is straight, and you can use your cutting mat for that. Now for the other A piece for the side and for the interior. So you will take the Z piece and draw a rectangle on there. And now it's important that the interior zipper pocket, we will leave an opening in the bottom edge because we want to turn our piece later on through this opening. But first we will take the third A piece, lining piece, and we will align our panel here 9 centimeters from the top, 3¾ inch centered from the top, and sew the rectangle that we've just drawn. So when you did this, you will cut the center line and cut 2 small V's into on each side, and the cuts need to be as close into the corners as possible without hurting the seam, so you can turn this piece as smooth as possible. So when you made these cuts, you push the facing through the hole and give it a press when you formed out everything nicely and there are like no wrinkles. Yes, and give it a press. So next you will thread a zipper onto a 10 inch long zipper and place it on a Y piece, both being right side up. And then fold the fabric away from the zipper like that and put the other edge from the zipper on the second Y piece and fold it away as well. So this is the zipper being right side up and the lining piece is wrong side up. So now the zipper needs to be closing towards the right because this will be on the other side of our bag, and we want our zippers to close into the right, all the same direction. And then you place the gap that we just created on top of your zipper. Align the side pieces, the sides from all the lining pieces, and top stitch your zipper around the rectangle around the zipper like that. Fold the top fabric down and trim off the extra fabric on the bottom. And now we sew the sides and the bottom edge with 1 centimeter seam allowance, but we will leave an opening right here to turn our piece later on. So sew, leave a gap, sew. This is what it looks like. And now we will make a slip pocket with the other 2 Y pieces. So we put them right sides together and leave an opening, but sew around all the other edges. with 1 centimeter, 3/8 inches, and then I trim off the corners to make turning easier. I turn this piece right side out and then just give it a press. Then you'll have to top stitch the top edge, and if you like to, you could also insert a label. It's a nice place, a nice spot to insert a label. I did not have one anymore, so I didn't. See, this is top stitched and pressed, and you will simply stitch it on this A piece right here. Make sure that the interior pocket, the zipper pocket, is out of the way. Make a marking 7 centimeters from the bottom edge and align this centered on your piece, and then top stitch it on your piece on the sides and bottom. And now we have a slip pocket. This is the S piece, the bottom lining piece. We align this with the bottom edge of our A piece and sew this with 1 centimeter seam allowance. Fold the fabric away and top stitch on the bottom piece. And now repeat this with the second lining piece. See, you connect the bottom edges of the laptop pocket piece, the A piece, sew with 1 centimeter seam allowance, 3/8 inch, and top stitch as well on the bottom piece. Now we will mark the center on the bottom piece on both sides to connect them to our end pieces, the lining pieces. And the way I do this with leaving an opening for the turning thing might be a bit different, but it's my preferred way on how I do it, and I suggest you to give it a try and then decide whether you like it or not, okay? So we will take our end lining pieces and mark the top and bottom centers, and then we will align the bottom centers of one end piece like this, and then we will connect the top edges and secure the whole end piece on our main interior piece like that. If necessary, you can make some tiny snips in the interior piece, not in the end piece, in the interior piece, but I work myself from the top down to the center with my clips. And then we will sew this edge with a 1 centimeter seam allowance. See, I make some small snips if necessary, so it's a nice fit. We don't want any wrinkles. And then I will sew this like this with 1 centimeter seam allowance. If you want to, you can baste this first. I'm not basting this first with the lining, but with the we will repeat this with our exterior pieces to connect the sides, and there I will baste it first, but with the lining I won't, because it's not as bulky and everything stays in place a bit easier. So we will just sew around the whole edge with a 1 centimeter seam allowance, 3/8 inch. And then we will repeat this with the second end piece on the other side, but we will leave a big gap. So when you're done, you will connect the second end piece to the other side, but we will leave like a big gap. You can see this here. This is the end piece that we've just connected, and this is the other end piece, but I've only sewn the top to the center, to about the center. And the thing is that I like to change to this right side out, to turn this right side out like that. But I will show you this in the assembly. So first, we do have to connect our main exterior pieces in the same way that we just did with the interior pieces. We connect the bottom S piece and top stitch as well, and then connect the second piece from the exterior. So the front and the back pieces will be attached to the S piece bottom the same way. We sew them with 1 centimeter 3/8 inch seam allowance, and then top stitch on the bottom piece. And then we will mark the centers on the S piece and connect the N side pieces exactly the same way, but I did baste them on there first because they kept like slipping off easily because of the thickness of the materials. So I like to do a baste first, and then I've sewn with the correct seam allowance of 1 centimeter 3/8 inch. Both end pieces will be connected, of course, without a gap, since we just need a gap to turn this right side out later. So this is one side connected. Be careful with the back zipper to have your zipper slider not be in the way of your stitching. And then see, this is the basting and the correct seam allowance. And then I will connect the other end piece in the same way. Now our side pieces are connected, but we still need to do the tunnel for our frame wire. At this point, I like to turn my exterior right side out. Number one, because it's now easier than later, and number two, I'm just too curious and I want to see what this bag looks like. And yeah, my favorite part is like seeing the result, right? So this is the point where I like to turn my bag right side out. And now I check everything and have a good look at it. And now I will make the tunnel. So for the tunnel, we will need the exterior and the interior tunnel. So this is the exterior. So we mark the centers and we will mark 4 centimeters, 1.5 from each short end. So you take your long zipper and separate it, align the centers, and then you will just baste your zipper on the top edge of your tunnel T, but just from marking to marking. So the marking is, I start in the center, like just a little bit before the center, and I just baste it on there within seam allowance, and I stop where the marking is, and I pull down the zipper band, the zipper tape, and do a few more stitches. Then I repeat this from the center towards the other edge. I just think this is a lot easier to start from the center than from the beginning, because we are pulling this down and have like a bit of a, not a curve, it's not a curve, it's a fold maybe. But it's just easier like that for me, just to hit the right markings. And then I repeat this with the second T part. Align it to the center. Right sides together. And then just baste to the marking. And then from the center again to the other marking. Okay, now we are aligning the short ends and sew this edge with 1 centimeter seam allowance, 3/8 inch seam allowance. On both short ends, to make sure the zipper tape is not in between your seam. Okay, now we will do the interior tunnel. And I had some issues with describing this in the ebook, and it's so much easier to just show it because it's so easy to do, but it sounded so complicated. Okay, we will take these two strips here, the U pieces, and make markings 1.5 centimeters, 1/2 inch from the short edge just on one side. Fold it over like that, and place this on the other short end of the U piece, both being right side up. And you align the edges. You see, you have this fold on top of the right side of this strip. And you will repeat this with the other ends. So you will make a fold on the unfolded one, like the bottom here. Fold this 1.5 centimeters over, 1/2 inch, and align it on top of the other end. And that's just it, but it's hard to explain it with words. And then you top stitch on the sides so the fold will stay in place. See, this is the top stitching, so everything stays in place, and the tunnel should be the same length as your loop that you've created. So you put them right sides together and align the seams, like the fold and the seam will be aligned, and then align the top edge, secure it with clips, and work your way around the whole piece and have the zipper hang like downwards so they don't get caught in the seams. So this is the edge with the zipper attached. You will align this, and then you will sew this with a 7mm 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now it's sewn together with the correct seam allowance, and then you fold the fabrics wrong sides together, form it out, and then top stitch the zipper. Just make sure that you finger press it before so they are connected the right way, and then just top stitch the whole zipper. Okay, done. Now you mark the center, the front and the bottom center. See, this is the tunnel, the opening on the inside where we will put our wireframe into. Okay, I've marked the center on the exterior piece, the front and on the back, as well as on my tunnel. So the tunnel is the T piece, the outside exterior tunnel is on top of the exterior of my bag, so they are actually right sides together, and I attach it to the top edge. I secure it with all of my clips, and then I will baste this together within seam allowance. So after basting, I will take my interior piece. So this is just basted together, and then I will take my interior piece and make sure that we connect it to the right side. You see, the laptop pocket has to be connected to the back of the bag, and the one with the slip pocket needs to be connected to the front. So this is like weird and complicated looking, but it's quite easy. So you put this on top, but just like halfway. You don't have to put it over the whole bag, because you do have this big opening in the side piece, and it looks so stupid, but I promise you, you don't have much of an issue turning this piece later on through a tiny hole. So I really prefer it that way. So it might look like it's like all crumbled up, but you just need to connect the top edge the correct way. Ignore the rest, okay? Make sure the laptop pocket is connected to the back side of your bag where the straps are, and align the center markings, align the side, top, all the top centers need to be aligned, and then you secure this piece with clips. Use a lot of clips because only the top edge needs to be correct, okay? Ignore the mess that's going on below there. And then you will sew this edge with a 1 centimeter seam allowance, 3/8 inch. See, now instead of like having to turn this whole back right side through this opening, you can just pull up the lining. I trimmed off some foam there. See, you just pull this up and you don't have to squeeze your whole backpack through a hole. But we do have like a big gap in the interior, but we left an opening in our zipper pocket, right? So you just grab through that zipper pocket opening and pull the lining up through the opening and connect the raw edges that need to be sewn together. And use clips to connect the center and all the raw edges that needs to be sewn together, and then sew with a 1 centimeter seam allowance. Can you believe it? We're almost done. These are just the final steps. So, see, this is sewn together, and so you push it back, and then you pull up the interior zipper pocket and fold the seam allowance inwards and top stitch your zipper pocket lining pieces together. Then you just push it back and put your lining inside your backpack. And then we have to top stitch our top edge, the tunnel. And therefore everything needs to be folded inwards nicely. And then simply top stitch the top edge. See right here, this edge. This is what it looks like. Oh, it's so exciting. Now we have to insert our frames and our zipper pulls. So for the frames, you have the opening here in the interior tunnel. You use one side for one frame. Oops, that got lost. This always happens. Maybe next time I will use some glue. And now on the other side, you take the second frame and use the other hole and just stick it in there and thread it through your tunnel and just organize it a bit like so it's in the right position. And then just thread on 2 sliders on your zipper and attach the zipper ends. So but that's just my personal preference. I don't want the zipper tails on the sides being too long, but that's up to you. Just I do like to trim off like a big piece of my zipper on the side, but if you do like them, keep them like that. Of course, that's up to you. But if you decide to trim them down a little bit, just make sure that you do this when your bag is open so you can see how much is actually needed for a nice opening, you know? So I just did it without opening the main zipper. I just trimmed off like a big chunk. And then I just put this on the other side to have a comparison of how much I trimmed off. And now it's time to install our zipper ends and then we are done. then the Bria backpack is finished. So therefore, I just fold the zipper tape inwards, like underneath the, what's the English word? Spiral. And then I take this punching thing, like this, it's a very sharp tool to pull up the zipper piece as much as possible into the zipper end. And then these tiny screws, they do annoy me, especially with my nails. And I've hurt myself so many times with screwing these tiny screws into the zipper end. I'm sure this has happened to you too, right? Okay, and then repeat this on the other side, and then we are actually done. Can you believe this? So I know this is a huge project. I know this Bria backpack has a lot of pieces and it's a lot of work, but it's extra special, don't you think? And it's not what everybody else is sewing. It's just like a cherry on top, okay? It's something you can be very proud of, and I hope this instruction did help you to sew your own Bria backpack just the way you wanted it. And maybe you just check out my other patterns, my other projects. You come visit me on Patreon, because I do have a lot of like tutorials and extras on there. So I hope that we get to sew many more pretty bags together. I hope you've enjoyed making this, and I hope I see you around.